What's good, everybody? Would Dillon Brooks be a fit in the 202? And we're going to grade Daniel Gafford. How would you guys grade it? We're going to talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So today we are going to discuss, would Dillon Brooks be a fit in DC? And what would you give Daniel Gafford as an end of the season grade this season? So let's get into it. As you know, in NBA news, the Memphis Grizzlies said under no circumstances are they going to bring Dillon Brooks back. So, in your mind, would you pick him up and why? Do you think he would fit?
First of all, I've never seen something like that before. For a team to just come out and say, under no circumstances, anything, that we're not bringing you back. We don't care what happens. I thought it was a little disrespectful. I thought it was a little unprofessional from the Grizzlies. Now, I get it. Dillon Brooks has done some unprofessional things himself. He said, I'm out after the game. He didn't talk to reporters. Reportedly, he didn't take a shower after the game as well, just got on the plane. So I get, I talk to the media that can be unprofessional too. And he's talked so much trash. He's talked so much trash about other players and whatnot. I know he said to LeBron, he said, I don't care. He's old. I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40. Next thing you know, they get blown out by the Lakers and they get beat in the first round. So Dillon Brooks he's a good player, man. He's a productive player. He plays hard. He has an identity of playing hard, talking trash, playing with a lot of physicality. He's going to get up in people's faces, which the Wizards don't have any type of players that do that and play with it. Maybe Jordan Goodwin here and there. Maybe Denny defensively here and there sometimes. But we don't have a lot of dogs on this team. And what I will say is that Dillon Brooks, he plays with an edge and a chip on his shoulder. Yes, he played awful in the playoffs. He shot, 20? He was so bad in the playoffs. It was just – he was ridiculously bad in the playoffs. 23% from the three. 31% from the field. I mean, which was just atrocious. I mean, he was awful. He really was bad. He just kept shooting the ball too. Like no self-awareness, no shot selection awareness. His shot selection was very poor in the playoffs. So I get the frustration from the Grizzlies organization for sure. But now I think his value has depreciated. Just looking at the raw numbers from Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks has been a productive player. For him to be a second-round pick, the 45th pick in the draft out of Oregon, this guy is athletic. He's strong. He's got a good build to him. 6'7", 225 pounds. Can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot the ball a little bit. Good free throw shooter. Heck of a defender. Last year, he averaged 18 points a game in 2022 and then 14 points a game in 2023. And this kind of reminds me of the whole Jay Crowder conversation that we had. Kind of similar players where they just talk trash. They're 3-and-D guys. They're not the most skilled guys, but they're kind of guys that you need with that edge and that chip on their shoulder. And the Wizards, like I said, the Wizards lack physicality. We're a finesse team. We're a bunch of nice guys, which is fine. That's what Ted wanted. That's what Tommy Shepard, the former GM, wanted. He wanted a bunch of nice guys. And I think if Dillon can relax, and part of his game is talking trash to get him hyped up and energized, but if he can relax and pick his battles and just calm down a little bit with the trash, you don't want to give other teams fuel to the fire, because I think he gave LeBron and those guys a lot of fuel to the fire. And that's why a big reason why they're frustrated with Dillon Brooks. But look, man, if they can get him for the mid-level exception for like $10 million, $12 million, I don't mind it at all, because like I said, we just lack physicality. If they're still trying to win games, because the Wizards they're not going to add a bunch of talent. We're just not. Like, let's be real here. With Brad on the books, Porzingis on the books, and then possibly trying to bring back Kuz. A lineup of Brad, Kuz, if Kuz stays, Porzingis at the 5, and Dillon Brooks at the 3, just playing tough defense, and point guard X, you're still not making the playoffs, or you're really going to be a playing team, but at least you have a guy that can defend Brad. And Dillon Brooks, he used to shut down Brad. I remember the game where Dillon Brooks was like, oh, I didn't sleep the night before the game because I wanted to guard Bradley Beal, and he made it really, really tough on Brad. The Wizards were interested in Dillon Brooks. They almost traded for Brooks. I know we were talking about it before. It was like Marshawn Brooks. They accidentally had that. And there was a report from Quentin Mayo that I remember. I pulled up the tweet right here. He said, Washington Wizards have internally discussed a handful of names so far this offseason. I'm told DeMar DeRozan, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dillon Brooks, and Justice Winslow. So that was a tweet or a report that he came out on July 2021. So the Wizards have been connected to Dillon Brooks numerous times. I know it's a new GM coming in, but a lot of he's kind of he's the guy he's the joke of the league right now. Everybody's making jokes on him. But at the same time, I think he's a good player. I think he's a productive player. There's some stats that I found about him too that shows that he really is a productive defender in this league too.
You got to bring Dillon Brooks to DC straight up. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of hate, and I get it. We were talking about before, man. This is, what have you done for me lately, league? Because now everybody's loving Russell Westbrook, but the last couple of years they were hating on him. So it's all about what have you done for him lately, and he came at the supposed king of the NBA. So, he's going to get knocked for that. I don't understand the hate. I've heard people say that he's the worst player in the NBA. Really? Like for real? Like, come on. Like, no, come on. Yeah, bring him to DC. Yeah, absolutely. He's an elite defender. Even if they bring Kuz back, KP got the solid 3 going forward, he's not expected to score a lot. He's expected to play defense. He's going to be the defensive guy. He's going to guard the best player on the other team. We need more dogs. We need more dogs. We need more attitude. We need to stop smiling and high-fiving and arguing with the ref. No, we need to get nasty. We need guys who come in here and get a couple T's. Now, I'm not saying get suspended. I'm saying some attitude. We need some attitude because this is a city with attitude. We need attitude. And he's going to provide that. Yeah, his 3-point shot and his jump shot was inconsistent. If you look at the stats, he did shoot 39% from field goal, 32 from 3, average around 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal a game, and 14 points per game. But again, coming into DC, he's not expected to carry a lot of the offensive load. So it's a win-win. I mean, like you said, if we can get him for the mid-level exception, outstanding. But yeah, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, and it's a perfect point to this whole thing. His value is low. Grab him. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Come to DC where there's not a lot of lights on you. It's not LA. It's not Boston. It's not New York. Not a lot of pressure. The media, the media right now is more focused on the government than they are on basketball or anything, So there's no pressure here as far as media. So, I think it's a perfect fit. We need attitude. Now, I know I'm going to get hit for this, man, but if they bring back the solid 3 and you add Dillon Brooks, man, they're a playoff team. In my opinion, they're a playoff team. I think because you got, especially with Denny, Kispert, Johnny Davis has made improvements on that bench, add a point guard, then we're cooking. But this is the type of move that the GM coming into DC needs to make because it's an under the radar move. Because look, most people are shying away from Dillon Brooks right now. He's got so much bad publicity to his name, but that's the point. Look, 48 laws of power, man. Business 101. All news is good news. All attention is good attention, even bad attention. So look, he got his value went down. Grab him, bring him here because he is an elite defender. Now, yeah, I get it. The trash talk, add fuel to the fire. But I feel you, man. But here's my thing. I'm an 80s baby, man. I grew up in, an era of basketball where, you had cats who were fighting. Come on, man. What are we talking about now, man? Like, we get on him because he's trash talk LeBron. Like, really? People used to slam Jordan to the ground. People used to fight. Look at old tapes of Larry Bird, man. Magic. Look, what are you talking about, man? You upset because he's talking trash? Yeah, absolutely. Dennis Rodman talks trash all the time. And Dennis Rodman is the best on-ball defender and rebounder in the NBA history. So, not that I'm comparing Dillon Brooks to Dennis Rodman, but, look at the player that they do compare to Dennis Rodman. Jeremy Sochan is another type of player like a Dillon Brooks, an attitude guy who can play defense. So, now this is the perfect move for the Washington Wizards. Get him here because we need more dogs and we need to solidify this defense. Because if we have any hope of slowing down these elite teams in the East, we need to start with a defensive presence on the court. So I think this is if we made this move, I think it was a really, really solid move for this offseason going forward for us, man.
Right. I think he's a really good defender. Per basketball index for the point of attack defenders in our defense in their defense impact metric, LeBron this season. Alex Caruso was number 1. Javon Carter was number 2. DeAnthony Melton was number 3. Dennis Smith Jr. was number 4. Derek Wright was number 5. Jaden McDaniels was 6. Josh Hart was 7. Dillon Brooks was 8th in the league. People who had the toughest defensive assignment based on basketball index matchup difficulty rating. Drew Holiday was number 1. Dillon Brooks came in 9th. Just to give context, Lou Dort was number 3. Andrew Nembhard was number 4. Quentin Grimes was number 5. Jaden McDaniels was number 6. OG Anunoby came in with 7th at 7. PJ Tucker came in at 8. So Dillon Brooks is in that group, man. And that shows his matchup difficulty. He's like you said, Brandon, he's willing to take on the toughest assignment. He's not scared. He's like a PJ Tucker kind of defender. You think about Grant Williams from the Celtics, guys like that are just big, versatile, can move their feet, and who are not scared to guard the best player on the team. So you think about a lineup with, DeLon Wright, Brad, and Dillon Brooks. I know it's not the best offensive lineup, but at least you get stops. And you know how bad our defense is. We're just thirsty for defenders and defensive-minded guys. I think Wes Unseld Jr. would like Dillon Brooks, even though, kind of personalities, would Wes Unseld Jr. be able to, coach up Dillon Brooks, or, good chemistry with Dillon Brooks and have him play the way he wants him to? Because we've seen Wes Unseld Jr. kind of have a tough time dealing with tough personalities or people who are eccentric kind of guys. He struggled with that with Montrezl Harrell. So, I mean, how would he do with Dillon Brooks? Would he be able to coach him up the way he wants to? So that's the concern with him coming here. But I think Dillon Brooks knows this might be his last chance with another team because of the bad rap he's got right now. He doesn't want to be kind of blackballed from the league. I mean, the Grizzlies, that statement to say under any circumstance, that's kind of that feels like almost towards blackball territory. Like, this is the last chance you got. And if it doesn't work out here with any other team that he has or signs with next year, then he may be with the Shanghai Sharks. No, not to the Shanghai Sharks or anybody like that, the other teams in China. But if it doesn't work out here, just because of the bad rap and the narrative, if you diss LeBron and it doesn't work out, it just looks so bad. Right now, he's kind of the kicking board of the league. He's the butt of all jokes. Everybody's making fun of him. But honestly, if you watch basketball, this guy is a productive player. He's not trash. He can contribute to a team. And look at the Grizzlies last year, that grit and grind. Everybody was, Dillon Brooks is a good player last year because of the way the Grizzlies played. And he was a part of that around Ja Morant, him, Jaren Jackson. For him to be a second-round pick in the way the career that he's carved out so far, Dillon Brooks has been a productive player in this league for sure.
Yeah, but like you said, that's crazy to me because you're going to blackball this guy for talking trash. Like, he didn't hurt nobody. I mean, he's had his moments. I get it. He's come at a lot of people in the league. I get that, man. But there's been a lot of guys who've done that. I mean, Ron Artest, really? I mean, for real, what are you talking? It's crazy to me, man. It really is, because if you look at a similar player, Draymond Green, Draymond Green. I mean, he's a nut cruncher, and I mean, look, what are we talking about? He's stepping on people's stomachs and stuff, man. I mean, it's so soft, man. Like, this dude is a dog. You gonna get on him about talking trash to LeBron? Come on, man. No, bring him to DC. We need you. We want you. Come on, because that's the identity of the city, man. That's how we roll. So no, we need a dog in this roster, man. Because again, it's just, he's not trash. He's a good player, and right now his value's down. So right now's the time to grab him, man. So yeah, I'm gonna say if I was a GM now, I will say this before we move on, man, that Bob Myers being GM would be, the likelihood of signing Dillon Brooks would be higher with Bob Myers, because he knows how to deal with those type of personalities. He knows how to deal with Draymond. Jordan. There's been examples of Jordan Poole and Draymond going at it. He knows how to deal with these type of personalities. Now, if we go ahead and get a guy who's a first time GM, I don't see him making that move, just because a first time GM is not going to bring a guy with character issues, quote unquote, being a first time GM. So yeah, the only way I see him coming to DC is if Bob Myers or Uzziah, somebody who's a long tenured GM coming in who knows how to deal with those type of personalities. Because it's the same thing, Uzziah, man. DeMar DeRozan, he's dealt with guys who are dogs, man, who got attitudes, so that's the only way I see it. So, but we're going to go ahead and move on. Next, we're going to talk about Daniel Gafford, the landlord, and how we grade him this season. But before we move on, tonight's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to my garage and look for a green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So we're going to slide into Daniel Gafford, the landlord, how we grade him this year. So before we get into it, Daniel Gafford averaged 9 points this year, He shot 73% from the field, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks. So, what would you grade? What were the plus and the minuses about Daniel Gafford, and what do you grade him?
Well, Daniel Gafford, he had a lot of positive things this year. Offensive rating, he was third in the league at 135.5. Of course, because a lot of his shots are dunks, layups, easy baskets. His offensive rebound percentage, he ranked 15th, 11.7. He was 13th in the NBA with blocks in 99. He was 16th in blocks per game with 1.3. Ninth in the league at block percentage with 5.2. There were a lot of good things with Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford he also had 10 double doubles this season. I think he could have had more. Games without Porzingis this year, he averaged 13 points, 8 boards, and 2 blocks per game. And 15 games without Kristaps Porzingis. So there was a lot of positives to Porzingis. Now, the start of the year when he was coming off the bench, he was bad, man. We talked about it, like how much he was dropping the ball, being pushed around, flopping around, missing shots around the rim. He just wasn't good. And he started to play better. And then, Denny couldn't hit a three. He couldn't hit a shot at all. And Wes Unseld Jr. made the decision to put Gafford in the lineup. And Gafford and Porzingis, it did work out for a couple of games. It worked against the Timberwolves, where we won that game. It worked against a couple of teams where we went on a win streak with Gafford. Gafford had a big game-winning putback against the Pistons as well, where we barely beat the Pistons in Detroit. So he had some really good moments. Now, look, the cons for Gaff is still he's getting pushed around. Still he's flopping around. And his game is just limited. He is what he is. He's not going to step out and knock down a three. He's barely going to step out and hit even a free throw jumper. And you saw towards the last couple of games of the year when they were developing, Brad sat, Kuz sat, Porzingis sat, he was trying to do post moves. He was trying to do hook shots, up and under, spin moves, all kinds of stuff. So it's like, okay, let's see if you can do that while Porzingis and Kuz and Brad are there. So that's my question mark for him. And then is he worth the contract? Durability, yes, he did play, 70-something games this year. He did play 78 games, started at 47, but there's so many games where he's leaving a game. He's hurt because he fell on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. So I like Gaff, but we know what he is. He's in that same tier as like Clint Capella, where he's a rim running big. He needs to have a point guard who can set him up. And at times we just didn't have guys that could really get him easy baskets. Like when he played with Russell Westbrook, that's when Gaff was at his peak. That's when you got the best out of Gaff because you got a guy that could give him easy lobs, easy dunks, easy baskets. But when you don't have that, he's just not as productive. So that's just my concern with him. And is he worth paying? What is his contract? I'm just going to look up his contract here really quick. Sorry, I didn't already have it up, guys, or people who are listening. But that contract's about to kick in, because right now we had him at before I'm on spot right now this season coming up to 2023-2024 season. His year salary is going to go up to $12 million. Then 2025 is going to be 13. Then 2026 is going to be 14, which is not bad. It's not great either. So if he's going to be coming off the bench next year, it's not great. But if he's going to start next to Porzingis, I think it's a good deal. But can two bigs work? You saw what happened with the Cavs with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. It didn't work out. And then with the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert and Karl Towns, it didn't work out either. So can it work out here? And there's a lot of games where we got dominated too. Anthony Davis put up 55 on them. Valanciunas put up like 20 and 10, or Vooch double-doubles. There was a lot of times where our bigs were just getting pushed around. And bigs would come in here and dominate. So that's the concern too. Just him being pushed around. Can he hold his ground and be strong?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think that he needs to add some muscle. Now, not a lot because he's a lob threat. You don't want to get too heavy. But I think that he definitely needs to add muscle so he can bang with those bigger bigs, man. Rebounds, like you said, I believe I averaged around 8 when KP was out of the lineup. With him in the lineup, if they go forward with him and KP, I like to see him around 7.5 rebounds, kind of add a couple more rebounds to his total. But he worked on his game. That's all you can ask for from your players, man. Defensively, offensively, he was efficient offensively in the paint. Defensively, 1.5 blocks. So he was a defender. He worked on post moves. Look, when he first came to DC, he had no moves. Now he's got moves. He's starting to put the ball on the floor. So he's working on his game. I mean, mid-range jumper. He was starting to hit mid-range jumpers. So he's working on his game. That to me, that's a big plus. Kind confidence. I mean, that's one thing that's always synonymous with other players on this roster, such as the young guys like Corey Kispert and Denny Avia. But, Gafford, like you said, early in the year, he had low confidence and it showed, man. You see him, slapping his hands, going down the court, showing frustration. But when he had confidence later in the year, man, he was a totally different player. I mean, he was playing at a high level. So looking at his contract, being a backup, yeah, I see your point with 12 to 13 to 14 million. But here's the thing, though, he can start. So another team can look at that and say, look, I got a cheap option right here for a starting center. So I mean, so I think that he does have value and he could be a chip that could be moved. But like I said, it's tough to say right now because we just don't know what the roster construction is right now, obviously, because we're just getting into the offseason and playoffs isn't over yet. But yeah, I mean, I love what I saw from Gaff, man. He really took a step forward this year. His defense was on point. He worked on his offensive repertoire, and that was the biggest knock that I said all year and in the offseason going into this previous season was he was so one-dimensional offensively. He was a lob threat, and that was about it. And he worked on it. So, yeah, I mean, going forward, I don't have a problem with the contract. I like Gaff. He's shown enough to me to where he has enough value to where 12 million is not bad. So yeah, yeah, I don't really have much. I mean, negative to say because to me, he played that well this year. Now, obviously, early in the year, the foul trouble, but he, like I said, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, man, he steadily got better. So I have no problem with him being here long term. So before I give my grade and our grade rather, my bet, he's gonna do a ad at night.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. Thinking about your friends, family members. Sometimes it's just easy to get caught up in helping them out or doing things for them. When they call you up and they need a ride or something like that, you're just caught up in that. You just need to sit back and focus on yourself for once, kick your feet up and use BetterHelp. But when we spend all of our time giving, it can leave us feeling stretched thin and burned out. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, some other numbers that I found about Daniel Gafford. Most box outs per 36 minutes. Daniel Gafford was 9th in the league. Other guys, Mitchell Robinson was number 1. Isaiah Hartenstein was number 2. Andre Drummond was number 3. William Gabriel 4. Jonas Valanciunas 5. Larry Nance 6. Steven Adams 7. Bismack Biyombo 8. Daniel Gafford 9. And Jock Landale at 10. So that shows that Daniel Gafford was good with boxing out. But there was another stat that showed bigs who grabbed the lowest percentage of rebound chances they have. Daniel Gafford was 8 with 48%. So, I mean, Daniel Gafford, I think he's a good rebounder. I did want him to rebound more. Same thing with Porzingis. But the question mark, too, is, can him and Porzingis coexist together? I thought they did a good job playing together. I thought the lineup, the starting 5 with them was better than what it was with Denny. The numbers show that it was still good with Denny, but I think with Porzingis and Gafford, I thought they did play well together, and it gave Porzingis a chance to play at the 4, where Porzingis started to knock down more threes, and he didn't have to bang down low as much. He didn't have to bang down low as much on defense. Gafford was the guy who had to handle those bigger bigs like Giannis Valanciunas, Anthony Davis when he dominated us. That didn't work out because they both got dominated. But it just showed that, it gave Porzingis a break on his body where Gafford would have to do some of the dirty work. So, people say that they don't like Porzingis and Gafford starting, that it would be better with Kuz at the 4 or another kind of big like a Jared Vanderbilt at the 4, somebody else who can bang and stretch the floor. So all that makes sense too. But I thought they played pretty well together for the most part. I don't think they're the reason why we didn't make the playoffs, that lineup. But we just didn't have enough talent, and we just didn't finish games. But yeah, for a grade, I thought Gafford was good. And you look where he came from a couple years ago, where he was winded. He would get tired within the first 2 minutes of a game. He had sports asthma. That's what they said or something. That's what he said or something like that. He would get in foul trouble. He stopped getting in foul trouble as much. So I thought he improved in that so much. So I could probably give him like a B minus, kind of like the other guys. I think all of our guys are good rotational guys. None of these guys are stars or have any star power or really star potential, but I think he probably will go down as the best Tommy Shepard trade, to really trade Troy Brown Jr. and Mo Wagner for Daniel Gafford and get the production that you got out of a guy who was a second round pick who really wasn't playing well with the Bulls at all. I mean, you really got something out of this guy. So I probably give him like a B. The first half of the year was an F, and then he played so much better. He worked himself up to a B.
Dang, an F?
He was awful.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I'm rolling with a B. I give him a B because to me, as the year went along, man, he got better. He worked on his game, and that's what you want to see from especially a young player, man. He worked on his game. Now, going forward, like I said, it's just a lot that could happen before now and the beginning of the next year, man. But I'm with you. As far as starting, I don't know. I mean, if you bring back KP, are you comfortable paying your backup center $12 million? That's a question this organization is going to have. And, the GM is definitely going to explore that because it's tough, $12 million for a backup. But then again, I really, to me, the philosophy for ownership needs to change. If Ted is willing to go into the luxury to really improve this team, if he's intent on really building it around Bradley Beal, then keep Gaff. It's good. I mean, it's good to have that type of center on the second unit. So like I said, it's so many dynamics to this, man, because, you got questions at ownership, you got questions with incoming GMs. Just, we don't know what moves going to be made. We don't know. I mean, because he very well could be a trade chip, especially if you're trying to get a veteran point guard, if you indeed bring the solid three back. So, there's just a lot of questions going into this offseason to really, really, really know what a concrete role for Daniel Gafford in this organization would be. But, I mean, look, I want him here. I think he's done well. He's improved every year he's been here. Like you said, he started out as an F. I mean, he was hot garbage at the beginning of the year, man. And he got better. And he's my guy, man. He's my adopted player on this team, man. I've adopted Daniel Gafford as my guy because I love his drive. I love the fact that he's worked on his game. He really has. Oh, absolutely. And like you said, rebounds can't get better. But I mean, I really don't have much negative to say because he got better with the year. I mean, because in the beginning of the year, the biggest issues I had with Gaff was the daggone foul trouble. I mean, he's quick. One pump fake, he's off his feet. He's got to work on his defensive footing, man. And confidence again. Confidence is really the MO for a lot of guys on this team. So, yeah, it's tough to really, really talk about a concrete role for Daniel Gafford because we just don't know what's going to happen going forward. KP stays. Now, I know that KP, the likelihood of him staying is higher, in my opinion, than it would be with Kyle Kuzma. So do you play them together in the starting lineup? I don't know, man, because, yeah, it works sometimes, but I don't think it was effective enough to really be a lineup going forward. I just, 3-point shooting took a hit. It's a good lineup against certain matchups, man, but I don't know if I'm comfortable, with KP and Gaff starting in the same lineup together going forward 82 games. I don't see it, man. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with a B, man, because I feel like he improved all year round. So that's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's questionable with the lineup. We'll see where they go in that direction. Gafford's a guy that possibly could be traded to. You never know. I think he has some value, not a first round pick or anything like that, but maybe a couple second round picks, or you get a solid player in return. So kind of just like the other guys. I think they're all just similar in a sense. Like Corey, you're not going to get much for him. Danny, you're just not going to get much for him either, but they're solid players, all in that B minus range, all rotational guys. But like you said, Gafford, he did improve somewhat with his discipline on defense and just not fouling so much. And he showed some post moves towards the end of the year. He really did. That Miami game, I had that number up somewhere. It was the Miami game towards the game that we had no business winning. He had 22 points and 8 boards. And that was in 23 minutes. He had 22 points in 23 minutes. Then against the Hawks, he had 25 points and 10 boards. And he had 25 points in 23 minutes. So he showed a lot of improvement. But we're going to wrap it up here. Just want to thank you guys for listening, making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now, for our next episode, most likely we will be grading either Monte Morris or DeLon Wright. We're going to take a look at the point guards. And then eventually we'll look at Taj Gibson and Jay Huff and give those guys a grade as well. And then we're going to talk about something that Ramona Shelburne said on Craig Hoffman's radio show about Wes Unseld Jr. having to say in the new GM. So I just want to thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell. Hail to the Wizards.